Namaste students, I am Shobha, Science faculty from Mangala Vidya Mandira. Today, let us study the next chapter, that is chapter 9 in science, force and laws of motion. So last year you would have studied the force, different types of force, uniform force, non-uniform force, all those things. This year we are going to study the laws of force and motions. Even motion also you would have studied, students. Linear motion, rectilinear motions, all those things. Based on that we are going to study the laws. So what is first of all force? So force is nothing but any push or pull of an object. So when we push or pull an object, that will be called as an force. So let us revisit the effects of force that we have already studied in our lower classes. Force can move a stationary object. Force can stop a moving object. A force can change the speed of the moving object. A force can change the direction of a moving object, and also it can change the shape and the size of an object. So, totally, how can we define a force? A force is influencing agency which tends to move stationary body, or which tends to stop a moving body, or which tends to change the velocity of a moving body, or which tends to change the shape of a body. So all this are being done only because of force. What is this balanced force? If a resultant of all force acting on a body is zero, then the force are called as balanced force. See, the block is on the table and it is acted upon by many forces. The first one is the one side the force is being pushed, another side the force is being pulled, and there is an equal force exerted by the table, that is gravitational force, and also the weight or the block is also exerting the same force on the table. So all the four direction there is an equal force being exerted. So, force applied by the left hand is being balanced by the force applied by the right hand. The W, that is the force of the block, is being balanced by the reaction to the block, that is gravitational force. So it is called as balanced force. Because of this balanced force, that block never moves, it will be at rest. So there will be no work done whenever there is a balanced force. When a body is at rest and it is acted upon by the balanced force, the body will not be displaced, it will be at stationary. When a balanced force acts on a body moving with a constant velocity, they do not produce any acceleration on the body, that is any movement. The body continues to be in the same direction and the same speed. Example, when raindrops fall from clouds at a greater height, the drops at the first gain the velocity due to the gravity of the earth. After falling through some height, the stage called equilibrium occurs when the downward weight of the drops is balanced by the upward force, such as the upthrust or the viscous force. The net force acting on the drop will be zero, hence no more acceleration is produced by that drop. Therefore, raindrops move with the constant velocity which was last gained by the drop just before reaching the equilibrium position. Unbalanced force. If the resultant of all forces acting on a body is not zero, the force are called as unbalanced force. Unbalanced force can move a stationary object or they can stop a moving object. When we talk of force acting on a body, we usually mean of an unbalanced force. When the total force of the plane is in one direction, the force is called as unbalanced. The unbalanced force changes the motion of the plane. For instance, for example, when the thrust is greater than the drag, it is causes the plane speed up or accelerate. So in simple way, in order to explain you have played tug of war. So tug of war, there will be a rope which will be held by two teams. So two teams exert some force, but it will not be balanced. Will try to be balanced, but the force exerted by the two teams will be not balanced. If we increase the more number of people in one team and decrease the number of people in the other team, then it will be unbalanced. So because of that, where there will be more number of person, that team will be winner. But if we balance it with an equal number of players, then it calls a balanced force. So you might have understood, whenever there is unbalanced force, there will be some motion. Whenever there is a balanced force, there will be not a motion. So this is how we relate it. Weight of a block is balanced by the reaction by the table. So this both are balanced, whereas as long as the applied force is less than that of frictional force, the block is not moved. When the applied force is just is equal to the frictional force, the body may move with the uniform velocity. But when the applied force is greater than that of the frictional force, then the body moves with the greater speed, that is called as acceleration. Coming to the Newton's laws of motion, so let us study that. With the help of the same block remains at rest unless and until it has been acted upon by any external force, it will be at the state of rest only. Similarly, the ball continues to be in the motion. So when you just roll a ball or you throw the ball, it continues to be in the motion state until and unless someone stops it, right? That is what is your first law of motion. Since it was being given by Newton, as you would have seen in the title page, Newton, Sir Isaac Newton, hence it is called as Newton's first law of motion. What does the Newton's first law of motion says? A body will remain at the state of rest, and a body in uniform motion will continue to be in the uniform motion unless and until it has been compelled by an external force to change its state of rest or uniform motion. Until you force that block to move, it will be not moving, it will be at rest. Until you force that ball to stop, it will not be stopping. So this is called as Newton's first law of motion. Inertia, very important term, students. What is this inertia? Inertia is an inherent property of a body due to which it resists a change in its state of rest or a uniform motion. Inertia can be understood in parts like inertia of rest and inertia of motion. Mass is a measure of an inertia of a body. Heavier objects have more inertia than lighter objects. A stone of size of a football has more inertia than football. A cricket ball has more inertia than rubber ball of the same size. So means inertia means resistance. Resistance. So whenever you apply any force on an object, so consider a football and a stone which is equal to the shape and the size of the football. But to move this football, it will be very easy, whereas to move the stone which is of same size and shape of this football, it is little bit difficult. That is because the football is having more inertia, more power, resistance power, so more force has to be applied. Hope you have understood. For example of inertias, you can do at home also, students, all these experiments. A passenger in a bus jerks backwards when the bus starts suddenly moving in the front direction. This is because the passenger tends to be in inertia of rest, whereas the bus moved away forcefully. So passenger is sitting on the seat, bus seat, so he is having some inertia. So inertia makes him to move backward and the bus moves forward. Same in the reverse case. When suddenly bus comes to an halt, the bus will be moved backwards little bit. The person standing in the bus will be moved a little bit forward. That is because again of inertia. Next example, when a bed sheet is flicked away suddenly, dust particles fall away as they tend to be in the inertia of rest. So the dust particles will be on the bedspread only. So if you flick it, so it will suddenly jump up and fall down. When a branch of tree carrying a mangoes is suddenly flicked, mango falls off due to the inertia of rest. So these are the list of examples of inertia, students. I have given a list. So you just go through it and understand. You can better understand the inertia and its examples. Momentum, another important word. Momentum is the quantity of motion in a body and it depends on its mass and velocity, whereas inertia was depending only on its mass. Hope you remember that. Weight of a football and the weight of a stone. It depends only on the mass, whereas momentum depends upon the mass and even velocity. Momentum of a body is defined as the product of mass and velocity. That is, momentum is represented by P and mass is m, v is velocity. Momentum is directly proportional to mass. So if you have more mass, more momentum, less mass, less momentum. If a cricket ball and a tennis ball move with the same velocity, momentum of cricket ball is more because its mass is more than the tennis ball. Momentum is almost directly proportional to velocity. Means more the velocity, more will be the momentum. If two balls move with the different velocities, then the momentum of the ball with the greater velocity has a greater momentum. If a body is at rest, its velocity is 0, hence its momentum is 0. But every moving body possesses some momentum. Momentum is a vector quantity. Vector means it has both magnitude and direction. That is, magnitude is mass, direction is velocity. The SI unit of momentum is kg meter per second. CGS unit is, we don't want CGS unit, you just remember SI unit, kg meter per second. So understanding this inertia and momentum, let us come to Newton's second law of motion. The rate of change of momentum of a body is directly proportional to the applied force and takes place in the direction of force in which the force acts. So force is directly proportional to change in momentum divided by time taken. So force is represented as F. Small change in momentum is represented as delta P. Small means delta and P is momentum divided by T. So how can we represent momentum? Mass into V, that is initial mass into initial velocity minus final mass into final velocity divided by T. Momentum is common, remove it. V minus U by T, we know that acceleration formula is V minus U by T, so substitute that. So F is directly proportional to M into A. So remove the proportionality sign. It is introduction of one constant, that is K. So F is equals to K into Ma. If we apply 1 Newton of force and on a body of 1 kg and acceleration of 1 meter per second, then the K becomes 1. So if you ignore K because it is 1, F is equals to M into A. This is your Newton's second law of motion. Force is equals to mass into acceleration. Very important formula. So if you want to calculate acceleration, you can reshuffle the formula. Acceleration produced by a body is directly proportional to the force acting on it and it is inversely proportional to the mass of the velocity. So if acceleration is more, means body is having less mass. If acceleration is more, force is also to be more. Force is a vector quantity, as we know. It is depending upon mass and magnitude. Force can cause acceleration or deceleration. SI unit of force is Newton. So 1 Newton, how can you define 1 Newton? Always remember students, if you remember, if you are writing the Newton formula, it should be represented by capital N, but if you are writing it in the full name, it should be written in small n. Newton is defined as the force which act on a body of mass 1 kg produced an acceleration of 1 meter per square on it. So application of the second law of motion. A cricketer player moves his hand backwards on catching a first moving cricket ball. This you had seen that. That is because of this inertia and momentum. Similarly, a high jumping or long jumping athlete is provided either a cushion or a heap of sand on the ground to fall upon, because it increases the time in which the momentum comes to zero, and it decreases the change in the momentum, and hence the force will be less and they will not get hurt. Similarly, packaging materials like thermocol, corrugated sheets, bubbled plastic sheets, straw, paper stands, etc. are used while packing the glasswares or chinawares or electronic devices, because it increases the time in which the momentum comes to zero when jolting and jerking take place. This decreases the rate of change of momentum, hence the force, so the particles will not get broken. Let us move to the third law of motion, that is Newton's third law, students. To every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Very simple law and very much used law in our day-to-day life. The statement means that in every interaction there is a pair of force acting on the two interacting objects. The size of the force on the first object equals to the size of the force on the second object. The direction of the force of the first object is just opposite to the direction of force of the second object, but always it comes in pairs, equal and opposite. Action and reactions are just forces. The forces always occurs in pairs. This is all you should remember. Action and reaction do not act on the same body. Very important. Third point is very important. Action and reaction act on the different bodies but simultaneously. Though action and reaction forces are equal in magnitude, but they do not produce equal acceleration in the two bodies on which they are acting. So these are very much familiar examples where you can see a bullet is being coiled from a gun, and rocket propulsion where the fire is being backwarded and it pushes the rocket front, and this one a ball which has been thrown on the wall, it comes reverse back. These are all the examples of Newton's third law of motion. Let us come to this law of conservation of momentum. So momentum is always said to be conserved, means it is neither created nor been lost. When two or more bodies act upon one another, the total momentum remains constant provided no external forces acting on them. Example: suppose a big and a small car is in the same direction with different velocities. Let the mass of the bigger car be m1 and its initial velocity be u1. Let the mass of the smaller car be m2 and its initial velocity be u2, such that u2 will be always less than u1 because of its mass. Mass is less, then its velocity is also less. Both the cars collides for a short time, that is t. Due to the collisions, the velocity will change. Let the velocities after collision becomes v1 and v2 respectively in car 1 and car 2. Suppose during collision the bigger car extends its force F1 on a smaller car, and in turn the smaller car exerts a force F2 on a bigger car. Therefore we can use the Newton's second law of motion and see that F1 is equals to m2 into a2 and F2 is equals to m1 into a1, because the acceleration have been changed, students. First car has got the mass and acceleration of the second car, and the second car has got the mass and acceleration of the first car after the collision. So from Newton's third law of motion, we know F1 and F2 are equal. So you can, since left hand side are equal, you can equate the right hand side and you can cross multiply, and you will get m1 u1 plus m2 u2 is always equals to m1 v1 plus m2 v2, where it is momentum of big car and small car before collision is always equal to the sum of momentum of big car and the small car after collision. So total momentum before collision is equal to the total momentum after collision. So this is called as law of conservation of momentum. So here are some of the activities, students, which you can just perform at home and write down your observations. Thank you.